Ever had that moment, when you ask your kid to hurry up for dinner and like
Yeah.
they totally freak out?
Yeah.
Like you just, casually said, "Hey, time for supper."
Uh-huh.
And they act like you just landed from Mars and are speaking some alien language.
Right.
Maybe you've seen that, or maybe you've just wondered why some folks seem to have these like huge reactions to stuff that seems pretty normal to everyone else.
Absolutely.
Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into today in this deep dive.
I love it.
We're going to be exploring this whole idea of emotional allergies,
Okay.
particularly how it relates to sensitivity, especially in the context of ADD.
Yeah.
And we'll be drawing on the insights from the document you sent over, 7.pdf.
Perfect.
So that's going to be kind of our guide for this journey.
Yeah.
Our goal today isn't to label anyone or diagnose anyone with anything. It's
Wow.
really just to get a better understanding of what this whole sensitivity thing is all about.
I think that's a great approach.
How it shows up in different people, and maybe even give you a fresh perspective on why certain reactions happen.
Yeah.
Both in others and maybe even in yourself.
Absolutely.
And to help us make sense of all this and connect the dots, we've got our expert here with us.
Happy to be here.
So let's jump right into it. Let's picture this scene, okay?
Okay.
We've got a father, probably tired after a long day of work.
Yeah.
He asks his 8-year-old daughter to, get moving. It's dinner time.
Right. A pretty typical evening.
Like, this is happening in households all across the globe, right?
Happens every day. Yeah.
Exactly. And here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
The text makes this really important point that the father wasn't actually yelling.
Okay.
Like, if you had a decibel meter, one of those things that measures sound,
Yep.
I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have registered his voice as being, particularly loud.
Interesting.
But then you've got the daughter's response,
Right.
and it's intense. She covers her ears, starts complaining that he's yelling at her, and her face just shows like genuine distress.
Oh, man.
She even runs off to her mom saying, Dad's being mean.
Yeah.
It's like a super strong reaction to what seems like a pretty, ordinary request.
Right. It seems out of proportion.
Totally. And that's where understanding this idea of emotional hypersensitivity
Okay.
really becomes key.
Yeah.
The daughter isn't just processing the words themselves.
Right.
She's picking up on these subtle cues in her dad's voice.
Interesting.
That little edge of impatience or frustration that the text talks about.
Uh-huh.
So her brain is interpreting that as yelling, and that triggers this real fear and anger response.
Makes sense.
It's almost as if he had actually shouted at her.
Wow. So it's less about the actual volume and more about the feeling behind the words.
Exactly. It's about the emotional tone that's being conveyed.
Okay, I get you.
Now, the source material then dives into, defining what sensitivity actually is.
Right.
So what are the key things we need to grasp here?
So if we break down the word sensitive, it actually comes from the Latin word sensit,
Okay.
and that simply means to feel.
So it's all about feeling.
It's at the core of it, yeah.
Okay.
The text pulls out these 3 definitions from the Oxford Dictionary that are really helpful.
Perfect.
The first one is being very open to or acutely affected by external stimuli or mental impressions.
And that totally lines up with what we saw with the daughter at dinner, right?
Sure.
Being so acutely affected by her dad's tone of voice.
Yeah, that tracks.
What are the other ways sensitivity gets defined?
Well, the second definition is being easily offended or emotionally hurt.
Right.
That's probably what most people think of when they hear sensitive.
Yeah, for sure.
But there's this third definition that I think is super interesting.
Okay.
It describes sensitivity as being like an instrument.
An instrument.
Yeah. As of an instrument, responsive to or recording small changes.
Oh, that's a really cool way to think about it.
It is, right?
Like you're a finely tuned instrument that can pick up on things that others might miss entirely.
Exactly. You've got this enhanced ability to notice those subtle cues.
It's like having this super-powered emotional radar.
Love that analogy.
Now, the text also makes a distinction between, how strongly you react to things.
Okay.
Your reactivity and empathy,
Uh-huh.
which is more about, understanding other people's feelings.
Yeah.
So someone could be super reactive to their own emotions,
Right.
but not necessarily be all that tuned in to how others are feeling.
That's a great
So
point.
you could have someone who gets upset easily,
Yeah.
but they're not really thinking about how their reaction is impacting the people around them.
Right. They're caught up in their own experience.
Exactly. Now, the source material introduces this concept of emotional allergies.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Can you break down how that analogy works?
So this analogy helps us understand emotional hyperreactivity by comparing it to physical allergies.
Okay.
Think about someone who's severely allergic to bee.
Yeah.
a tiny amount of venom, something most people wouldn't even notice,
Yeah.
can cause this like life-threatening reaction in their body.
Right.
Their airways close up, their tissues swell, their heart races.
Scary stuff.
It is. And the thing is, the problem isn't just the sting itself.
Yeah.
It's the person's own amplified response to it.
So their body's having this like outsized reaction to something that most people would just shrug off.
Exactly. And there's actually a medical term for this kind of exaggerated response.
What is it?
Hypersensitivity.
Hypersensitivity.
Yep. And the text makes a direct connection here, stating that individuals with ADD are hypersensitive.
Oh, okay.
And it's important to highlight this isn't framed as some sort of defect.
Right.
It's seen as an inherent part of their temperament, a fundamental part of who they are.
So basically, emotional allergies are these intense, almost like physical overreactions to emotional stuff.
Yeah, stuff that others might not even notice.
And the sensitivity the text suggests is the main thing that's passed down genetically when it comes to ADD.
That's the argument.
So it's not that ADD itself is directly inherited like like a specific disease.
Right. It's more nuanced than that.
It's this predisposition to be highly reactive that gets passed down.
Exactly. And depending on the environment a person is in, those sensitive traits might be more or less pronounced.
So you're saying it's not just about genes, it's about how genes and environment interact.
Absolutely.
Which is kind of a shift from thinking about a genetic disorder to understanding this inherited trait that gets shaped by our experiences.
It's a different lens to look through.
Now, the text also links this emotional sensitivity to the fact that kids with ADD seem to have more physical allergies, too.
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting connection.
That they get more colds, respiratory infections, ear infections, things like that.
Right. Eczema, asthma, all that stuff.
And some folks have thought that maybe those allergies were actually causing ADD.
I've heard that, too.
But the text clarifies that it's not a direct cause and effect relationship in that direction.
Oh.
It's more like both the emotional reactivity and the physical allergies are coming from the same underlying sensitivity.
Ah, so it's two sides of the same coin.
Exactly. The body's just kind of wired to react more strongly.
Whether it's to emotions or allergens.
And that makes the whole emotional allergies idea even more fitting.
I see what you mean.
Because those emotionally hypersensitive reactions are happening on a physical level.
Like a real physiological response.
Just like a physical allergic reaction.
It's not just being too sensitive in our heads.
Right. It's something that's happening in our bodies, too.
There's a real biological component.
This leads us to the whole thin skin phenomenon that's often associated with people with ADD.
Right, where they get labeled as too sensitive or too touchy.
And the text really pushes back against those kinds of dismissive judgments.
It definitely challenges that way of thinking.
It's like telling someone with a pollen allergy to just stop being allergic.
Yeah, like that's going to help.
It's simply not something they can control.
Nope, it's out of their hands.
And the text uses this analogy of scalded skin, which I thought was so powerful.
Oh yeah, tell me about that.
When you burn your skin, all those nerve endings are right there at the surface.
Ouch.
So even the lightest touch or a change in temperature can be excruciating.
Right.
And the text suggests that for someone who's emotionally sensitive, it's like their emotional nerve endings are also closer to the surface.
I get it. So they experience emotional input way more intensely.
Exactly.
That's why something that might seem like a neutral comment or a minor critique to one person
Right.
can feel like a huge attack to someone who's emotionally sensitive.
Or like a punch to the gut.
Exactly. And imagine how frustrating it must be
I can't even imagine.
to constantly be told you're overreacting or being too
Or
sensitive
it feels so real to you.
when your experience is so intense.
Right. And the text also touches on how hard it can be for others to really recognize this level of sensitivity.
That's a key point.
Like parents, teachers, even doctors, they might doubt a child's reports of their sensations.
Especially if those sensations seem out of proportion to what's going on.
And that can lead to all sorts of accusations, like exaggerating or attention seeking.
Or even faking it.
Exactly. But the text quotes Nietzsche here, which I just loved.
Oh yeah, what do you say?
He talks about a refined susceptibility to pain.
Beautiful.
And it's so true. It's not about making up feelings.
It's about genuinely experiencing discomfort more intensely.
And the text also points out how things like anxiety and depression can make someone even more sensitive.
Yeah, because those emotional states can lower your pain tolerance.
It's like a double whammy.
Exactly.
So if you're already prone to being sensitive,
Right.
anxiety and depression can make everything feel even worse.
And then you're more likely to react intensely.
It's like this vicious cycle.
Total.
So it's no surprise that sensitive kids often get labeled as difficult.
Right, they don't fit the mold.
And the text really takes issue with that label
It does.
because it points out how it's coming from an adult perspective.
It's an adult bias.
And, from the child's point of view,
Yeah.
especially if their sensitivities aren't being understood,
Right.
the adults might be the ones who seem difficult.
All that perspective.
The text even jokes that if kids were in charge of the labels, we might hear about difficult parents or the terrible teens.
I love that.
It's a good point, though, right?
It is.
Because these labels often reflect who's got the power.
Who's in control?
Exactly.
Oh.
So instead of automatically assuming the child is the problem,
No.
maybe the issue is that there's a mismatch.
A mismatch between the child's sensitivity and the adult's expectations.
Now, the text gets into some of the biology behind this emotional reactivity.
Okay, let's get into the science.
And it talks about research on the vagus nerve in infants.
The vagus nerve.
Yeah, it's a major nerve that connects the brain to a lot of important organs.
Right.
And it plays a big role in regulating our stress response and emotions.
Interesting.
So researchers looked at babies who were around 5 months old, and they found that those with higher baseline vagal tone.
So they were kind of naturally more activated in that vagus nerve.
Yeah, they were more emotionally reactive to both positive and kind of stressful stimuli. And then when these same babies were 14 months old, they were more reactive to being separated from their moms.
So it's like their nervous systems were just wired to react more strongly.
Exactly.
Interesting.
It's not a conscious choice. It's just how their bodies work.
Against.
And the text uses this really cool metaphor.
Oh, yeah.
It describes sensitive people as having these invisible antennae.
Invisible antenna. I like that.
That are constantly picking up on the emotional atmosphere around them.
They're always tuned in.
Right, like they're absorbing the emotional climate.
Powerful imagery.
And the author shares a story about noticing this in their own daughter.
Oh, yeah. What happened?
They realized that their daughter's mood was like a direct reflection.
A reflection of what?
Of the overall psychological atmosphere in their home.
Wow. So she was like a barometer for the family's emotional state.
That's a pretty common observation, actually.
Okay.
Sensitive people can be super attuned to these subtle emotional undercurrents
That others might not even notice.
And the text also talks about how this sensitivity can show up in physical ways, too.
Oh, right. Like what?
Things like tummy aches.
Oh, yeah.
Sensitive kids often get these recurring stomach pains.
And it can be really tough to figure out why.
Because often there's no obvious medical explanation.
Right, like they go through all sorts of tests and everything comes back normal.
But the text proposes that there is a reason.
There is.
It's that the child's body is acting as this minutely calibrated instrument
Okay.
that's reflecting the stress and tension within the family system.
It's like their body is holding on to the emotional stuff they're processing.
Yeah, and it can be super frustrating for everyone involved.
Especially when the root cause is emotional and not physical.
Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about the evolutionary perspective on sensitivity.
I love this part.
This was a really thought-provoking section.
It really is.
The author starts by comparing rare genetic disorders.
Okay.
The ones that only affect a tiny percentage of the population.
Yeah.
To conditions that are much more common.
Like what?
Things like depression, ADD, anxiety, alcoholism.
Right. Those affect a lot of people.
And the argument is that it doesn't make sense from an evolutionary standpoint
Okay.
for so many disordered genes to stick around.
If they were purely negative.
Right, why would nature allow that?
Yeah, unless there was some kind of benefit.
Exactly. So instead of seeing these conditions as purely bad,
Okay.
the text suggests that what might actually be inherited is sensitivity.
Sensitivity.
And that this sensitivity could actually be advantageous in certain situations.
Interesting.
Think about sensitive people in a supportive environment. They can be incredibly creative artists, inventors, deep thinkers, people who are really tuned in to the world around them.
Like they're picking up on subtle cues that others miss.
Exactly. And that can be a huge asset.
For survival, for progress, for all sorts of things.
So sensitivity isn't inherently a weakness.
Right.
It's more like a powerful trait that can be a strength or a challenge depending on the environment.
It's all about context.
And the text goes on to say that ADD viewed through this lens might not actually be a disorder in the traditional sense,
Okay.
but more like a consequence of modern life.
Modern life, how so?
All the demands and the pressures of our society can be overwhelming for anyone, but especially for people who are naturally more sensitive.
That makes sense.
And the author borrows a phrase from Freud, calling it one of civilization's discontents.
Wow. That's powerful.
So maybe it's not that these individuals are inherently disordered,
Right.
but that our current world just isn't really set up to support them.
Like we're pathologizing a normal human trait.
That could actually be a really valuable asset.
If we approached it differently.
So for all you listeners out there, what we've really explored today is this idea that sensitivity is a fundamental part of being human.
It's part of who we are.
And it comes with both challenges and incredible potential.
Two sides of the coin.
And what often gets labeled as a disorder, particularly in the context of ADD, might actually just be a mismatch.
A mismatch between a sensitive person and their environment.
And this isn't just based on, anecdotes or personal opinions.
Right.
We looked at the science behind sensitivity.
The physiological basis.
We talked about how it affects both our emotions and our bodies.
How it can manifest in different ways.
And how tough it can be for people to really understand and validate these experiences.
Yeah, it's not always easy to see from the outside.
And we even explored this really cool evolutionary perspective on why sensitivity might be so common.
Because it might have helped us survive.
So now we want you to think about your own sensitivities.
Yeah.
Or the sensitivities of the people you know.
The people in your life.
Does this new perspective change how you view certain reactions or behaviors?
Stuff that you might have labeled as overreacting or being difficult.
And this understanding brings up a really important question.
What's that?
If sensitivity is such a crucial and potentially beneficial trait, how can we create a world that supports sensitive people?
How can we nurture their strengths instead of pathologizing them?
It's something to really think about.
Long after this deep dive is over.
We hope this exploration has given you some new insights.
And maybe spark some curiosity.
To keep exploring these fascinating ideas.
Definitely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
See you next time.
See you later.